Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this very grey, miserable Friday. But thank God it is the 31st of January and we've made it. And if you're doing dry January, I hope you can last one more evening before you have a lovely glass of wine tomorrow night. I am completely on brand today. I hope everyone appreciates I've got my England rugby, but it's the start of the Six Nations Day, so we're very excited. Welcome to our exclusive Accelerator webinar. It's our broker insight session on claims investigation and defensibility. Try saying that after a glass of wine. I'll introduce Kay Bagley, who's been with us for 24 fantastic short years with Allianz. We have Curtis Brady, who will be our main presenter today, who's been here for 8 years. And I am Harriet Allen, and I am the broker, partner, segment manager. That's a mouthful. We've been with Allianz for 9 years. Before we get started today, and the lady and the gent will do their introductions, I would just like to go over a few items of housekeeping so you know how to participate in today's event. And we love it when people write questions and show that engagement. You can do that with loads of different options, and I think there's even some emojis as well. You have joined the presentation using your computer's speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join by your telephone, you just need to select that option in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed, just in case that's slightly easier to hear with. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions. There's a question icon at the top there. It's a little box which has a question mark in it. Type your questions into the pane of the control panel. You can do that at any point during the presentation and we will collect them and answer them at the end. If you could just flip onto the agenda slide for today. Oh, that's housekeeping. Brilliant. So today I will just talk us through our very special accelerator program, which is my baby, just to contextualize how you guys have got access to this exclusive webinar today. I'll pass on to Kay, who will talk about the accelerator claims proposition and all the extra benefits you get as part of that, before we hand over to Curtis, who will talk us through claims investigations and defensibility. And we'll go into Q&A at the end. Wonderful. Next slide, please. Wonderful. The accelerator program. If you flip onto another one, I will give you a little bit of overview of what this is all about. Next slide, please. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So we know that at the moment in the broker landscape across the UK, there is rapid merger and acquisition activity. Probably most of you have been tapped on the shoulder by someone, maybe an American organisation, saying, would you like to sell to us? This can create quite a disruptive marketplace. And we know as an insurer that we do better when we're able to build really stable trading relationships you can weather any storm. Pardon the pun. The accelerator proposition is therefore designed to help local independent brokers who haven't yet sold, who are trying to stay local and true to their roots. It offers the opportunity to identify new trading opportunities and help to build and strengthen relationships with Allianz, and Allianz in all of its forms. And we know it's a very big organisation. It can be quite difficult to navigate. And that is the accelerator proposition's aim, is to help you understand the business better and trade with us. So we offer selected brokers, it is exclusive, the chance to grow and have access to all these benefits on here. And we know this works. The GWP of this group of brokers grew a fantastic 20% in the first year and another fantastic 20% last year as well. I won't go into every single part of the proposition now because I'll be here all day, but you do all have a local account developer or a business developer manager who can talk you through this in more detail. But the bits I wanted to draw out and focus on is the fact that the proposition is built around three main pillars you can see there. And this has all been grouped because of market feedback from brokers like yourselves. And we are always looking for new ways to develop the proposition and meet the changing needs of you guys and your customers and what you want to see from an insurer like ourselves. We know relationships are key. And I've just had a flip on to see who's logged in. And I do recognise some names, which is absolutely great. I won't name and shame, but be like, hello, hi, nice to see you. yes, we know relationships are key, and the accelerator has really invested into the availability of developers. So you can give someone a call and get an answer and response, or get popped in the right direction. And we've really used that as well to invest into local mid-market underwriters, because there's nothing more frustrating than a slow no when it comes to quotes, etc. We then have the trading pillar, where we try and bring the best of Allianz to our focus brokers, and that includes the remuneration agreement, which some of you may know about. And then the benefits on the right-hand side, they're all about supporting your business and your people, your colleagues, and even your local community. And that's a bit of what today's around. It's about giving people a bit of training on claims defensibility. There is a new part of our training offering, and it's something called Fast Track, which is a new cohort, 6 months worth of training for new starters, new joiners, people who are changing careers into the industry. And that might tickle your interest if you are in that position thinking, actually, I would like a bit more support. It's something to definitely give us a call about. What else have I got there before I will hand over? The accelerator works, with 20% growth when we have brokers who commit to us and we will commit to them. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of flavour of what we can do. We do have different propositions depending on the size of broker. So if you don't quite fit the mould of the accelerator, do not worry. We do bespoke offerings for different kinds of broker organisation in the UK. All right, so our focus today is on the claims element of the accelerator proposition. So there's a lovely little segue onto my colleague Kay. If we flip to the next slide, please, and I will hand over. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. As Harriet said, I'm Kay Bagley, Strategic Claims Proposition Manager here at Allianz, and I lead our team of nationwide CPMs and manage the UK claims relationship between Allianz and our brokers. And I just want to say thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to briefly touch on how we are delivering for our customers and how our position sits in the market. Next slide, please. So as part of the Accelerator Programme proposition, you will get access to our hybrid CPMs. We have Chris Scullion in the north and Jack Lynch in the south, and they work closely with our account developers and yourselves. Jack and Chris are there to help with onboarding you onto our digital assets, such as the Allianz Claims Hub. Support with signposting yourselves and our customers in regards to our claims service and our claims proposition. Keep you updated on all the exciting initiatives we have going on in the claims space, and talk to you about emerging trends. And they'll also carry out large loss reviews. They'll agree an engagement plan with you, and they're there to assist you in the event you or our customers need any additional support in regards to our claims service. Can we go on to the next slide, please? So on this slide, we have our strategy on a page, and whilst I'm not going to go through all of what is on there, what I am going to pull out is our customer first culture. So we're really proud here at Allianz that we have a true customer focus. In 2022, we introduced systems thinking methodology, which could be a whole session on its own. But what we found through the study period, where we looked at a sample of historic claims, is that we were concentrating on the wrong sort of measures, which ultimately was driving the wrong behaviours when it came to the way in which we handled claims. We needed to focus on doing the right thing for the customer, understanding a claim end to end and what was important to them. So on every single claim now, our handlers ask what matters to the customer. They ask the right and relevant questions. They're empowered and have the autonomy to get the customer back to normal as quickly as possible. And at every touch of that claim, the handler is looking at how they can move that claim closer to settlement. We have a proactive approach, and we are continually reviewing the way in which we handle claims to ensure we are delivering for our customers. We've seen a real improvement of how we are perceived in the market through customer and broker feedback. So can we go on to the next slide, please? Thank you. So hopefully you're all aware of the Grace Church survey, and I do appreciate you probably get asked to complete a lot of surveys, but a little plea from me, if you are approached and you have the time, please do complete this one, because as well as Broker Insight, it is one of the main surveys we use to benchmark ourselves against our competitors. We've been consistently number one in our peer group, and we are really proud that we finished 2024 with our highest ever NPS score of plus 25, which was 19 points clear of our nearest competitor. And hot off the press this week, we have been awarded the Grace Church Claims Quality Service Mark for the 9th year in a row, the only insurer to have done this. So again, something else that we are really proud of. Achieving the highest NPS score in our peer group is a testament to all the hard work and dedication of everyone involved in the claims journey. Receiving this quality service mark for the 9th consecutive year highlights our consistency, excellence in service delivery, and how the Claims Hub provides valuable support, all of which is crucial for maintaining trust and satisfaction among our customers. So as we continue to strive for improvement, it's clear that feedback from our customers and brokers will remain a vital component of our strategy. So by focusing on enhancing the customer journey and ensuring a balanced integration of people and technology, we can provide a market-leading claim service that meets and exceeds the expectations of our brokers and customers. So this is all really good news, and like I say, we're really proud of where we are, but we won't be resting on our laurels. We still have work to do, and we will continue to listen to the feedback from yourselves and our customers. We continue to review the end-to-end claims journey and give you the confidence that when you place your business with Allianz, you are getting a market-leading claim service. So here at Allianz, one of our USPs is our very own in-house claims investigation team. So I'm going to hand over to Curtis now, who will explain a bit more about the role of the claims investigator and will take you through the defensibility training. Curtis, over to you.
Thank you, Kay. Good morning, everybody. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yep. My name's Curtis Brady, and I'm a technical claims investigation team leader for our northern region. Just a bit about myself. I've worked in claims now for 25 years across a number of roles, and I've been involved in claims investigation for 13 years. Can we have the next slide, please? So I thought it'd be nice to start with a customer testimonial, and this relates to a motor theft claim, which turned out to be a traumatic experience for the customer and their family. We appreciate hearing the words claims investigator may feel a little daunting at times, and yes, whilst we're here to find out as much information about an incident as possible, it's with the ultimate aim of supporting our customers, streamlining the claims process whilst providing a human touch. Ultimately, our aim is to provide good customer outcomes as per the testimony you can see on screen. The next slide, please. So a little bit about who we are. At Allianz, we have an in-house team, field-based investigators. We have UK coverage with the ability to investigate a wide range of motor and casualty personal injury claims, including high-value and complex matters. The team has excellent understanding of civil law procedures, enabling us, as just mentioned, to support our every way through the investigation process. In terms of structure, the team is split into 3 regions, with each team having a technical lead, all of whom are supported by a technical expert. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So as we go through the webinar, I'll be inviting you to participate a little bit. To start with, I'd like to seek your responses to a question via a quick poll. The question we'd like you to answer is on the screen now and is centered around the first notification of loss. And the question is, what percentage of MOJ casualty claims notified to Allianz have the necessary documentation attached to help us make a decision on liability? So if you could just start clicking on the screen now to cast your vote, you probably have 30 seconds to do so. Thank you. I can just see some of the votes coming through now. Thank you very much, and I think we'll end the poll there. So the answer is 27%, just above a quarter. See, 39% of you voted for that. 55% went for the 0 to 25%. I'd like you to remember that percentage as we'll come back to it a little bit later on. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we're going to focus on why it's good to investigate. Every day, incidents occur in or outside the workplace that may cause or injury to employees. Accident investigation provides an opportunity to
Curtis, we're having some problems with your
identify workplace
connectivity.
hazards and health and safety programs, reinforce accountability at all levels. So, someone.
Yeah, Curtis, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your connectivity has just gone completely down the
Can you hear
toilet.
me?
Yeah. Can you
Oh, has
pop
it? Oh,
your,
okay.
can you turn
Is
off
it
your
back on now?
camera? You turn off your camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's see if
Is that
that
any better? Can
works.
you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just can't see your lovely face. But yeah, everyone, just recap what you just said and we'll see what happens.
No problem. Sorry about that, everybody. So on this slide, we're going to focus on why it's good to investigate. Every day, incidents occur in or outside the workplace that may cause injury or illness to employees or members of the public. Accident investigation provides an opportunity to identify workplace hazards and gaps in health and safety programs, reinforcing accountability at all levels. Most importantly for me, accident investigation helps determine root causes of the accident along with the corrective actions needed to prevent reoccurrence. Accident investigations that focus on identifying and correcting those root causes rather than focusing on finding fault or blame can also improve workplace culture by demonstrating our customers' commitment to providing a safe working environment. There are also clear legal reasons why we should investigate, and these include the potential penalties for breach of statutory duty. In addition, it's also good to avoid a claims culture creeping in, especially in the absence of any control measures. So it's important to emphasise investigations are carried out with the best intentions to promote good practice when it comes to overall defensibility. Can I just check, is everybody still able to hear me okay?
Yeah,
Good.
all good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent. Okay, can we have the next slide, please? So when we talk about accident investigation, we need to think about who should actually investigate. It's important, where possible, that an appropriate person is appointed to conduct an early investigation and maintain control. Timing is everything. The earlier an investigation is undertaken, the more chance we have of capturing all the salient information. It's good practice to investigate all incidents rather than waiting for a claim to kickstart the process. So some examples of an appropriate person for investigations can include supervisors. They're normally the person in direct control of the task. They'll have the knowledge of the processes, the people, the premises, along with the day-to-day barriers faced. Managers can also be a really good person to appoint. However, we have to remember they may be slightly removed from the day-to-day operations, and in my experience can tell you what should happen on the ground. However, this may differ from what is actually happening. Health and safety officers for larger businesses will pick up the majority of investigations, and they'll be able to consider the potential regulatory breaches and their applicability to any investigation. And then finally, you've got insurance representatives like myself. So naturally, the earlier that we're involved, the better we can support with on-the-ground investigations, document gathering, obtaining witness evidence, so on and so forth. We need to encourage our customers to collect all the documentation and physical evidence relating to their safe working practices at the time of the incident, along with any changes made and implemented post-accident. I'll run through some examples of the documents concerned, but just to make you aware, on the next slide, there'll be a link to where you can find our business risk support documentation, which will list all the documents that we could potentially use. So examples of documents include an accident and incident investigation report, along with any first aid reports, copies of RIDDORs, pre and post accident risk assessments, details of any safe systems of work. These can include permits to work and method statements, inspection, maintenance and service records, Cleaning and housekeeping records. This can also include checklists, for example, copies of any induction and training records, health and safety bulletins, meeting minutes, and details of any near misses, similar incidents, or complaints in the 12 months leading up to the incident. When we talk about physical evidence, the two main types we're most concerned with are photographs and CCTV. Can I just check we're on the right slide? I think we've jumped one slide to. Thank you. Yep. So yeah, physical evidence is photographs and CCTV. CCTV footage can be crucial, and it's really important that it's retained. As you'll be aware, most operating systems have an automatic wipe feature built in, meaning if it's not retained, it could be lost. The standard retention period is approximately 30 days. Footage can prove or disprove an incident occurred, but will also help us understand the events leading up to any particular incident occurring. In terms of witness testimony, it's really key, and witnesses can provide the best information about what occurred. So we need to make sure each witness statement is signed to verify that the information is true to the best of their knowledge. Things that could potentially be included in witness statements are a copy of the health and safety procedures, an account of the actual incident. That's pretty crucial. What did the witness see? What did they hear? Details of anyone who carries out any routine systems of inspection, maintenance, and housekeeping. This should ultimately complement the available records and add weight to the same. Then details of training provided can also be included. So the next slide, please. Thank you. So now that we've looked at why we investigate, we can consider the impacts on defensibility. Identifying hazards and putting in place measures that eliminate, reduce, and control risk is at the heart of providing a safe environment. This includes minimizing the potential for accidents to occur. Generally speaking, the core elements in effectively managing health and safety include leadership and effective management, a trained and skilled workforce, the creation of an environment where people are trusted, involved, and encouraged to report near misses. Our customers should be encouraged to adopt a systematic and sustained approach and could follow the plan, do, check, act method detailed on screen, which is publicly available HSE guidance. There's a link on the bottom of the slide there. By following the plan, do, check, act approach, customers can plan what they need to do the right things to implement any plan, check those control measures, and then act if the measures are not working. This in turn will help customers find out where they need to make improvements, take action quickly to keep workers and others safe, and then repeat those processes to continually review their arrangements. All of this should help build appropriate management systems with risk reduction measures. It should also help in the development of robust processes, ultimately facilitating effective management of any compensation claims received. When it comes to evidence for claims defensibility, it's critically important that a customer's formal documented systems, processes, and procedures reflect the reality of their arrangements for health and safety. This is where a lot of claims can potentially fall down. A documented safe system will carry no weight if doubts are raised about its implementation and application in practice, particularly if this is supported by evidence that suggests shortcuts have been accepted by management, for example, or any others with health and safety responsibilities. If risk assessment reviews and other tools for monitoring health and safety performance identify a need for action or additional control measures, plans for follow-up and implementation need to be formalised, with actions allocated and formally signed off by those who complete them. All of this, in turn, works towards a positive health and safety performance. Have the next slide, please. Just do a quick sound check as well. Everyone can hear me still okay? All can hear me? Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
all good.
Excellent. Thank you. So we're now going to move on to a claims example where we can consider some of the documents and physical evidence we'd like to obtain, along with some of the general questions we would ask as part of an investigation, whilst taking into account the legal considerations. I'll run through the example first, and then I'd like you all to think about what documents and physical evidence you may look to obtain. So you can put your claims investigators cap on here now. What documents and physical evidence would you look for? And then can you please start to populate these within the Q&A section. Next slide, please. So the example is a supermarket, and we have an incident which occurred in December of 23, approximately midday. The injured person is an electrician. The injury is a fractured wrist, which required surgery and some rehab, and there's an ongoing absence. The circumstances were that the claimant was purchasing something for his dinner when he slipped on water just beyond the entrance to the supermarket. So in the Q&A now, can you have a think about those documents and physical evidence that you would potentially like to obtain? And if you can pop some of your responses in there, submit some, that'd be brilliant. Just have the next slide, please. So this will be in the question section. Thank you very much. I've seen some come through now. Yeah, accident report form, CCTV, eyewitness accounts, incident report form, doctor's reports, some really good examples. Excellent, thank you. If you can just, medical reports, cleaning schedule, brilliant. Previous incidents. Thank you, thanks for your responses. You're all keen claims investigators, it's good to see. If we can have the next transition, please. Thank you very much. So I'm not going to run through all of these. I'm just going to touch on a couple. So yeah, a couple of you mentioned the accident book entry report form and first aid reports. For me, these are essential documents, and ultimately it's the official record of an incident occurring. So when reviewing these records, I'm looking to determine who's completed them and when. If it was completed by the claimant, for example, have they signed and dated that record? Is it in line with any allegations that have been subsequently received? Furthermore, those records provide useful information about the level of injury reported at the material time. With respect to the accident investigation report, this links into my earlier comments around appointing an appropriate person to investigate. This is a really useful piece of information as it sort of pulls a lot of it together by the customer. So I'll be looking to see what were the findings as part of that investigation. Does it contain the details of any potential witnesses? Without this document, details of witnesses may be lost or forgotten about. So it is really good to capture that in the accident investigation report. Has there been any recommended changes to policy or process as a consequence of the accident investigation? It really promotes early investigation with our customers. Without this, we tend to find ourselves backtracking in the event of a claim being received. So it's really imperative that the accident investigation reports are undertaken and completed where possible. Risk assessments, a lot of you said risk assessments, and I know it seems an obvious one. We're looking for the pre-risk assessment and then any changes to a post-risk assessment. We're looking to see how robust those risk assessments are. Have all the risks been considered and reduced to the lowest practicable level? How is the content of the risk assessment conveyed to employees, etc.? Are they reviewed periodically? Is there any gaps in those review periods? So, if the risk assessment was 3 years old and there hadn't been an update in the lead up to the incident, we'd need to understand the reasons for that. Is there any potential gaps in the customer's approach to health and safety. Inspection, housekeeping records, the housekeeping policy, and even the staff rota, they all go hand in hand, really. This is where we talk about defensibility, as I mentioned previously. Do these documents and the witness evidence complement each other? We have to remember that customers may have a great system in place, but without documents and witness statements to show that it was implemented on the day in question, it will be really difficult to defend the claim. So what we tend to see is that there may be an inspection and housekeeping policy on the day. It's checked every hour, but there's actually no record that that's been undertaken and by whom. We then need to cross-reference that with the staff rota as well. So if there is a record, does it match who was actually on shift on that particular day? I won't run through the rest of the examples, but some really good comments there from everybody. Thank you for your participation. If we can have the next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of the investigation, I'll just run through why I would ask certain questions. There are a couple of the points highlighted there, so I won't go through them all, just save a little bit of time. In terms of reported, we tend to, upon notification, be told that there's no knowledge of an incident. In the absence of an investigation at the start, etc., again, this is where we can find ourselves backtracking. So we need to drill down really just to ensure that there was no incident reported and there wasn't an internal breakdown of process with a customer, for example, i.e. a manager or a supervisor was told, but that wasn't reported up the chain. So we need to check who was on shift, make sure that those individuals have no knowledge of the incident. And if they don't, then that'll set off a separate line of inquiries. And again, it all boils down to appointing an appropriate person to investigate from the onset when we know an incident has occurred and capturing all that salient information. Checking the area as part of the investigation, I would normally ask, did anyone actually go and check the area? Was there anything on the floor which may have caused a person to slip? It ties in slightly with the source as well, but what was there? So, for example, this was close to the entrance. Was it walked-in rainwater? Was it actually a spillage? This is where CCTV can play its part as well. Do we have any footage covering the entrance? Can we have a look at half an hour of that footage either side, just to get a view as to where that contamination may have came from, when it occurred, and how realistically our customer had the opportunity to react? Did it happen 5 minutes before? Did it happen half an hour before? Were there any staff in the area? Was there any opportunity for the staff to take any action when in and around that area? What was their levels of observation like? So on and so forth. In terms of the floor surface, again, I'll be looking to understand what the floor surface is in and around the area. So is it mats? Are these mats sunken? If they're not, if they're freestanding mats, have they got a rubber sole underneath? Are they in situ? How many mats do we have in place? Do we need to put any additional mats out in the event of heavy rainfall to prevent rainwater being walked and treaded in through the store, etc.? And as some of you quite rightly said around post-accident or incident actions, was any rectification action taken as a consequence of the incident? Is this something that potentially could have been picked up as part of a risk assessment? Is that a potential failing within a risk assessment and it's not been considered? These are all the things that we potentially look at when we come to guiding our customer through the next stages of the investigation process. Can I have the next slide, please? So finally, we'll just some of the considerations around legal liability. As I'm sure the majority will be aware, that this is potentially going to fall under the Occupiers Liability Act 1957. Okay, and the Act imposes a duty to see that a visitor will be reasonably safe in using the premises for the purposes for which he is invited or permitted by the occupier to be there. So was this individual a lawful visitor? It seemed that they would have been. Therefore, for the purposes of this claim example, it's important to understand that an occupier has a duty to take reasonable care. It's not an absolute duty to keep all visitors safe. As long as a customer has acted reasonably in all circumstances, then we may have a defence to the Act. When we think about contrib and in particular quantum, this has potentially got value, this claim. Okay, so it's happened over a year ago. We know that the individual is still off work, and we know that they're an electrician. So with that in mind, we need to potentially establish the level of income the individual has, what the prospects of a full recovery may be, why are they still off work? Is there anything that we can do to support in terms of rehabilitation in the event that there has been a failing on our part? Is there any potential loss of opportunity or disadvantage in the labour market? What's the prospects of the individual retraining elsewhere? Should it come to that? Have they got any dependents that we need to consider? All of this can significantly impact the level of reserve. And it's just something to bear in mind when we are reserve setting, and there may be questions around it. But when we go out, we will speak to customers why the reserve is what it is on any given claim. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so I'm just going to talk about supporting customers together. If we can have the next slide. Thank you. So looking back on what we've just covered, I thought it'd be beneficial to share some insights from a recent review of an MOJ casualty claims closures. Returning to the stat that I mentioned at the start, 73% of MOJ notifications didn't have any disclosure documentation or physical evidence we could have used to kickstart the investigations into legal liability. As mentioned earlier, time is of the essence when it comes to claims investigation, and the quicker that we can establish the issues, the better we'll be able to advise of the next steps and the potential outcomes. On 35% of those notifications, 35% of those notifications only contained contact details for the customer, and again, without those contact details from the onset, it just causes a little bit of delay and then just stalls the investigation process kicking off. As you'll be aware, there are time limitations on MOJ investigations, and as such, if we make a concession outside of the stage 1 limitation period, the average additional cost per claim is £2,600. So it's really key that we kickstart investigations as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And with your support with our mutual clients, this would be hugely appreciated. Any encouragement to provide all the available documentation and physical evidence from the onset will help us improve the efficiency, our speed to decision, and the overall customer experience. The next slide, please. Thank you. So in summary, if the appropriate tools and practices that we've touched upon today are put in place to identify gaps in health and safety, this in turn will help determine those root causes, improve culture within a workplace, and reduce the risk of statutory breaches. I can't emphasize this enough. Where possible, appropriate persons to undertake early investigations is key and will help earlier understanding and better decision making. The collection and retention of all documentation and physical evidence, regardless of whether there's been a claim intimated or not, is key and will help clarify the legal position. All of this ties in to defensibility considerations, helping to increase confidence with existing arrangements, along with compliance with the various standards and the legal requirements. Data is key when it comes to defensibility. So capturing or encouraging customers to capture data around near misses helps to identify trends, allowing for clearer direction and improvement in health and safety recommendations overall. So thank you very much. That's me done.
Okay, well, very sorry about the gremlin in the system at Curtis's end. I think it's because it's Friday. But yeah, thank you very much, Curtis, for your really insightful presentation. I'm sorry we can't see you, but you're there. We know you're there. It's a lot around why we need different documentation, which you can, you advise your clients just to keep hold of it. So, in the event, God, don't we hate that, but in the event that something does go wrong, we are in a much, much better position, much, much better prepared. I know about claims investigations and claims investigation. Investigators. I can't talk today. As I've grown up with them, my dad was one for 25 years, and God, we've driven down so many streets in North Yorkshire where he's pointed out, oh, that's where that client went into that bush, and that's where that person. And I went to court today, but oh my goodness, the witness wasn't prepared, etc. Anything that we can do collaboratively to support that investigation is so important. And I think what we really try and stress is that we are all on the same team, and we're all trying to get to the right result, and that right result is the truth when it comes to liability. It might sway one way or the other, and we try and control the narrative as much as we can, but we are all on the same team. As we mentioned earlier, we have the claims proposition managers within Kay's team who can educate you all on how the claims function works with Allianz. We can more than happily arrange bespoke webinars, training sessions with you and your colleagues if you think that would work, because the technology is becoming pretty sophisticated, and some of you have quite small Allianz accounts, and as your account grows, your propensity to feel the claim experience unfortunately may grow as well. So if you would like that little bit of hand holding through our claims function, we are more than happy to do that. Chris and Jack are on hand to do that, so please do get in touch. We are waiting for any questions from the floor. We have had a couple come in, so I might just launch into them. If you want to pop them in the questions tab, please do so. I do have a question for Curtis, if I may. He appeared a moment ago. Curtis, you mentioned a lot of documents there that customers should have in place. As much as I was writing down notes, do you know where I can find a list of these?
Yeah, definitely, Harriet. And I do apologise for my camera issues today. I thought I'd try and jump back on there so you could all see me, but yeah, it seems that the gremlins are still sticking around. So on one of the slides, we referenced the business risk support page that Allianz has. And there's a link to that on that slide, but even just a quick search on Google, you should hopefully land on it. Within the business risk support, there's a number of tools and guides that are available. And these will be available for customers too. And whilst there's health and safety in there, it includes things like, the safe use of lift trucks, general defensibility, slips and trips, machinery, workplace transport, working at height and falls. So all those documents will contain examples of additional documents that you can look to gather as part of the claims defensibility piece. So I do recommend you take a look at that page. There's lots of useful information.
Brilliant. Thank you, Curtis. I'm just seeing if there's any more questions, and I've got one for Kay. You mentioned right at the beginning there, Kay, that we have won this year's Grace Church Award for the 9th year in a row, which is pretty cool, and we're quite proud of that, aren't we? And this is for the hub. But Kay, if you can summarise, what is the hub? What's it about?
So the Allianz Claims Hub is our motor ethanol and tracking tool for brokers and fleet managers. So it allows claims to be notified on there for fleet claims and motor trade, and that you on the road risk side of things, and you can track the progress of that claim as well. You can instruct approved repairers on there. All the financials are on there, and Chris and Jack, if you haven't already got access, Chris and Jack can provide access for you, and they can also do demos. It only takes 15 minutes or so to just go through it. It's very straightforward to use, but they'd be more than willing and happy to do that. So if anybody does need a demo of the Allianz Claims Hub, please do reach out.
So I guess when you're preparing a renewal for your client, you can go in and see where the current state of play is. For you to then bring an underwriter, or you need to bring your claims insurer partners, definitely can do that. or if it's you own broker fleet and you can see the MD's had an accident, you can see what's going on with it, I suppose, which I think people are doing on me when I have accidents in my company car. Anyway, I digress. I'm just trying to see if there's any more questions. If you do have any, please just pop them in the chat. I guess my main takeaways are you're all really important accelerator brokers to us, and it's a proposition that works. It does bring in the growth, and this is a really important part of what we do. It's being there for our customers when things go a little bit wrong, they have an incident and they need it investigating, and we're really proud of what we can offer. But if you guys don't know what that is, please do pick up the phone, speak to your local account developer or your local business development manager, Chris or Jack, the CPMs, or me. I've had a couple of LinkedIn friend requests whilst we've been on the call, so that's absolutely great. If we don't have any more further questions, it is nearly lunchtime. My belly's absolutely going nuts right now. Curtis, any lasting remarks from you before we disappear?
No, nothing further from me. Well, then, thank you for your time today. Appreciate you coming along.
Wonderful. Kate, any lasting comments from you as well?
No, the same. Just thank you for joining us today. And if you do need anything, please do reach out to Jack, Chris, or myself.
We do have one last question, and it would be probably for Curtis. We send through an accident book entry as soon as received, even before a formal claim is received or the client has gathered all other documentation. Is this beneficial? I'm guessing they send the accident book entry through to the insurer before the formal claims come in. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So it gives us early sight of what the potential issues are and what we need to focus on as part of the investigation. So any early disclosure, any information, even if it's parts of an email thread, anything will be absolutely gratefully received. It gives us a head start, especially if a claim hasn't been intimated. And in reality, we probably get longer to actually investigate that claim as well, rather than the time constraints that come with MOJ portal, for example. So yeah, anything that comes in and you can share from the onset, even before a claim has been received, would be hugely, hugely appreciated.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us. Apologies for the technical problems that we've encountered this morning. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Go England. Can I say that? I think I can. I'm a massive rugby supporter, so yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Curtis, and thank you for the lovely ladies behind the scenes that helped with the technology for the call. Hopefully, we will speak to you all very soon.